All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Friday, August 27th, 2021. Today, Sirhan Sirhan is having his 16th parole hearing seeking release. He's the accused for the assassination of Robert Kennedy in 1968, the infamous year while he was running for president of the United States. And we've talked about the assassination of Robert Kennedy many a times. I remember 2013, in the early days of my research, only knowing about this knowledge for weeks. I remember having a conversation with my mom about this assassination. And what I showed back then is I only knew these two ciphers, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. And you can see that Robert Kennedy's name with the alphabetic order, that's just where A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. Robert Kennedy equals 156. He was shot in history on June 5th. June 5th. The 156th day of the year. And he reportedly died the next morning, June 6th, 6-6. And with the alphabetic order and rules numerology, Robert Kennedy is 66. And when I first started 2013, these are the only ciphers I knew, straight from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And back then, this calculator didn't exist. For people who don't know, the person who built this calculator, he thought I was wrong about gematria, so he was trying to disprove it, and then he couldn't disprove it, and he found out it was only truer and truer, so he ended up building this website, which has helped automate a lot of calculations. But back in 2013, I used to do everything by hand. And in that same cipher where Robert Kennedy's 66, so is Sirhan Sirhan. And again, 6-6, the date of death. So I want to talk about why they're saying he's going to be released in all likelihood after his 16th parole hearing. And we're going to talk about the parallels, again, between the assassination of RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, who Sirhan Sirhan's accused of killing, and John F. Kennedy, his brother who was president, who was reportedly killed November 22nd, 1963. And for the person in the chat who asked the question, do these people know they're going to be killed? Do you even know that these people were killed? And don't be the person who said, well, I've seen the Zapruder film. Again, if you don't know about the Zapruder film, it wasn't even clear. Nobody could even make out anything until the 90s with the re-enhanced version. So 30-some years after JFK had supposedly died. But again, do we even know that these people are really dying? Or are they not just actors like most politicians are? And I'm going to make the case that, if I had to guess, I would assume that they're probably not dying. So I don't know that for sure, but I'm just going to show you who's responsible. I know who's responsible for all of it either way. It's the Jesuit order, and it's clear as day. Okay, so notice the full name, Robert Francis Kennedy, equals 314 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. This is the other half of the code, just running the alphabetic order in reverse, the rules numerology. And 314 is like pi, 3.14. And in Greek, the 16th letter of the alphabet is pi, right? So they're saying that Sirhan Sirhan is likely going to be released and paroled after his 16th hearing, after all these years, right? And we'll talk about how this fits in with Joe Biden, because he has the same birthday as RFK. But remember, this happened in 1968. All of this is mathematics, is the point I'm going to make. This happened in 68. In Gematria, mathematics is 68. In the base ciphers, notice how Catholicism and mathematics using the alphabetic order are both 112, like 1 plus 1 is 2. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, they're both 185. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, the rules numerology, they're both 68. So at the end of 2016, we realized we just need to run the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26, and also use numerology. It's the other half of the code. And again, Robert Kennedy, shot on the 156th day of the year, reportedly dead on 6-6. And the thing about Sirhan Sirhan's full name, Sirhan Basharis Sirhan, that's his full name. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, it equals 317, which is the 66th prime number, right? And the word math When you run the alphabetic order in reverse is 66. Again, this is all mathematics. When you run the alphabetic order forwards, math is 42. That's what age RFK died at, 42 on 6/6. And again, this entire code is biblical. The Jesuits served the Catholic Church, RFK, JFK, both Catholics. Think about the 42 generations to Jesus in the New Testament, the 66 books in the Bible. New Testament is 42 and 66. The New Testament begins with Matthew. Math, 42, 66. The fourth book of the Bible is titled Numbers. With regards to the Jesuits, Jesuit equals 42. Again, RFK dead at 42. He was shot on June 5th, a date that can be written 5/6 like 56. Today, August 27th, 21, is a date with 56 numerology. Society of Jesus, the official title of the Jesuits, is 56. RFK was killed at the Ambassador Hotel. Notice the Ambassador Hotel has the gematria of 153 and 54, like Jesuit Order has the gematria of 54 and 153. By the way, he was killed in the kitchen reportedly. Kitchen has gematria of 34 and 38 like murder. But keep in mind his initials, RFK, 3546, like Catholic is 3546, like his brother JFK was the first Catholic president, number 35, killed at age 46. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. The second Catholic president, Joe Biden, is number 46. The election of him was 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. Inauguration Day was the 35th day of Pope Francis's age for Joe Biden, number 46. Big Catholic numbers. Yesterday, Thursday's the day of the week that equals 35 and 46. You had the very Catholic Jesuit ritual with the bombs or the explosions going off at the Kabul airport 35 weeks after Hamid Karzai's birthday, when the name of the airport, has the 35 and 46 connection, as we covered yesterday. But going back to JFK's assassination, his brother, he met with the Pope on July 2nd, 7/2. And from the day that he met with the Pope, July 2nd, to his assassination, November 22nd, was a span of 144 days. And in the base ciphers, Jesuit order is 144, 54, 153, and 72. So the base ciphers of Jesuit order, the 144 and 72 play in with the assassination of JFK, the brother, right? He meets with the Pope on 7/2, dies a span of 144 days later. In the case of RFK, he's killed at the Ambassador Hotel, which equals 54 and 153. And in the case of JFK, he was killed at Dealey Plaza, which also equals 54. And remember, Dealey Plaza is named after a Scottish Rite Freemason, and the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the motto with the Jesuits at Marum Dei Gloriam. Washington, D.C. is the land of the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite. Keep in mind, the film made about JFK's assassination was done by Abraham Zapruder, whose name equals 153 and 72. Remember, the Jesuits were created August 15, 1534, a date with 72 numerology. They were reinstated by the Pope after they were banned by the prior Pope on the 359th day of the Pope's age, the 72nd prime. A lot of 72 rituals with the Jesuits, including Robert F. Kennedy. That's how they commonly referred to him, Robert F. Kennedy. His name's Robert Francis Kennedy, but he was commonly referred to as Robert F. Kennedy. And just even in today's, even in today's article, that's how they refer to him. Where's he at? Sirhan Sirhan, the man convicted of assassinating Robert F. Kennedy in 1968. So don't think I'm cheating by doing that. I mean, that's how he's commonly referred to. John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy. They like to emphasize that F, that sixth letter. Biblical. Man made on the sixth day. God regrets making man in Genesis 6:6. 666, the number of a man, the number of a beast. But Abraham Zapruder. Again, that's the film about JFK. Look at this. From Sirhan Sirhan's birthday, March 19th, which is the 78th day of the year. Jesuit 78, also 42, like RFK died at 42. But from his birthday to today, the day they're saying he's likely going to get paroled, 162 days, right? Robert F. Kennedy in the most simple cipher, 162. Robert F. Kennedy with both reduction ciphers, 72. He has the same birthday as Joe Biden. Look at Joe Biden. Look at President Biden. 144.72 like Jesuit order. Joe Biden's from Jesuit, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Big Jesuit town. Remember, they simulated the election June 12th, 2020, 144 days before the election at Jesuit, Georgetown, that Biden would win. Trump's a Jesuit too, so don't think he's not part of this Jesuit cabal. He is. That's why he was with the first Jesuit Pope at the Vatican on May 24th, 2017, the 144th day of the year. But again, I mean, all this is perfect ritual. And Sirhan Sirhan is nothing but an actor and a patsy who's been living over in Israel, a Catholic Jesuit-controlled nation that was created in a Catholic Jesuit ritual May 14th, 1948. But the other thing about Sirhan Sirhan, he's 77 right now. That's a big number for this nation. United States equals 77, D.C. on the 77th meridian. But if you're age 77, it means you're in your 78th year of your life as well. And his birthday is on the 78th day of the year. And again, Jesuit 78. And Joe Biden, who has the exact same birthday as RFK, November 20th. Notice Joe Biden, born November 20th, 42, and is currently 78 when this ritual is going on. Again, what I'm saying is all these guys are actors in the club. Joe Biden, in 1972, that's the year he became senator-elect. And then right after that, in a clear ritual, his wife and daughter died in a car crash on Limestone Road, which equals 201, like the Jesuit order. So when you run it in reverse, Limestone Road 201. In that same cipher, the Jesuit order 201. Beau Biden died 201 days before Pope Francis' birthday at age 46, before Joe Biden becomes number 46 on 20/1, Inauguration Day. And again, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the name of Pope Francis, 201, first Pope to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, first openly Jesuit Pope, founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, 201. Again, these numbers so important to this gang. And that's what it is. It's a gang. It's the Jesuit mafia. There are politicians. There are news anchors. They run big corporations. And they do everything by their mathematical code every single day. And it's why 1968 seems to be the year of years where they laid out so many plans that are clearly still in motion today, including coronavirus, another big Jesuit scam that started with Event 201. Again, coronavirus was coined in 1968, the year all these things happened. So, by the way, from RFK's birthday to his assassination, that was 199 days later, the 46th prime number. Like how his brother died at age 46, Catholic 46, RFK 46. Joe Biden number 46 all these years later. Some of this stuff we pointed out before Biden even became president. We were saying why he would be number 46, talking about, Beau Biden, the Catholic connection, JFK, RFK, the same birthday. We've been pointing out all this stuff. So, for a few other things that you might not know, before I learned reverse gematria, I started with just these base ciphers. These were the only ciphers I knew in the beginning. And then I learned about Jewish gematria early on. I learned about multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. And, Ignatius of Loyola, when you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, is 1206. We know how much the Jesuits like 126 as well. But the JFK assassination, how it's commonly referred to, the JFK assassination, right? When you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, it's 1122. That's the day it happened, right? November 22nd. And you see how it's also 187? Think about that number. I mean, Society of Jesus, 187. Washington, D.C., 187. If you write out ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry with the ampersand, like how it's etched on the building in D.C., it's 187. And remember, JFK was shot in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason. The 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the motto with the Jesuits at Marum Dei Gloriam. There's 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo. If you write out Scottish alone in what's considered the most pure cipher, it's 32, like America, you know. So, and like Christ, right? The Son of God, the Jesuit logo, the sun with the 32 sun rays. The sun cult that's got everything synced up with their calendar. Again, the reason all this is so perfect is because, you know, JFK was assassinated in 1963. This is more than, what is that? 423 years after the Jesuits had come up with the English language code and the calendar, the system they made. So you think about what a well-oiled machine they were by the time the JFK assassination came around. You know what I mean? They've been doing this all these years, spreading their influence, their language, their calendar. And, yeah, I mean, you can go through all of history and prove that it all goes back to the Jesuits. It's the same patterns. It's the same clear rituals. And, you know, 1968, that was the year MLK was assassinated. It couldn't be any more obvious that that was Jesuit. MLK, killed on 4/4, April 4th, 1968, a leap year, the 95th day of the year. He assumed the name Martin Luther. He was born Michael. He assumed the name Martin Luther after the leader of the Protestant Reformation, who wrote the 95 Theses against the Catholic Church. And that's what the Jesuits were created for, to counter the 95 Theses, which is why they were recognized by Rome on September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. You know? That's why you got this Jesuit scumbag that's the face of the biggest agenda ever against the United States of America, Fauci, Mr. 95, who again threw out the first pitch at the New York Yankees game in the coronavirus season, where Garrett Cole picked up his 95th career win in that game after being signed by the Yankees in the offseason on the 95th day of his age. New York Yankees is just like Society of Jesus, 191, 187. Society of Jesus, 191, 187. That game was in Washington, D.C. against the Nationals in the Jesuit stronghold. And you see how Society of Jesus is 56, 187? Look at Anthony Fauci, 56, 187. Look at how his name's 137, 56, 187, 61. Look at Washington, D.C., the exact same in all ciphers. You see? Again, Jesuit scumbag, born and bred to be. He's been the head of the NIH since 84, the infamous year. Jesuits 84. If you write out the Jesuit order, it's 84. If you write out the Catholic Church, it's 84. If you write out United States of America, it's 84. And remember, if you put a the in front of that, the United States of America is 99, and it was named that on September 9th in history. 9/9/1776. It's also 144 that way, like Jesuit order. And how many signers on the Declaration of Independence? 56. Again, the Jesuits have been here since the beginning. RFK shot on 5/6. Parallels with his assassination to JFK's. Parallels between JFK's assassination and Lincoln's. Lincoln was shot at 56 in a theater. I'm sure you know the Jordan Maxwell riddle with the Lincoln and the Ford and, you know, Lincoln and Kennedy and the theaters. And again, the world is a stage. And for the person who asked the question in the beginning about, do these people know if they're really going to get killed? They might know that their script's really going to end in an assassination. Again, I mean, how come none of the active members of the Kennedy family have done anything about the research I've put out? You know, none of them seem to want to go after the Jesuits. I've been spelling it out for years, that the Jesuits clearly assassinated the Kennedys. I mean, I've been presenting this since what? 2015, 2014, 16? You know, how many times? I've lost track of the years. I might have first presented in 2013. But yeah, we've always pointed right back at the Jesuits with their assassination, the 144 days from the Pope and everything. So, also today in the headlines, today's the 4-year anniversary of the flooding of Texas by Harvey, by the numbers. On the anniversary of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, whose best-selling album was Texas Flood. But on this anniversary, they're saying this Ida could really ransack Louisiana on Sunday. And what's interesting about that they think that this tropical storm, which is about to turn into a hurricane, will ransack Louisiana on Sunday. Look at Hurricane Ida. You see how it's got the 78 in it? It's even got the 66 in it, right? And they're talking about this on the Sirhan Sirhan Day, which is weird. But just with regards to the 78, Sirhan born on the 78th day of the year. But Sunday's the 78 day. You see the Gematria Sunday, 84, 21, 78? Look at Jesuit, 84, 21, 78. So they're saying on Sunday, Hurricane Ida is probably going to, have an impact on Louisiana. And this announcement today is also the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime number. Remember, hurricane is 52. Louisiana knows about hurricanes in 52, Katrina 52, flood 52, earth 52, Enlil 52, the Babylonian god of flooding, 1952, the year weather warfare was at first admitted to by the Royal Air Force in the UK, the Lynmouth flood. But, yeah, again, the weather warfare. A lot of people can't wrap their mind around that because they struggle enough with this. But you guys understand that the Jesuits are a military order. Technology is sophisticated. They control all sorts of things. They have all sorts of influence on this world, including the weather. Just ask Houston and what happened to them on Valentine's Day, a very Catholic day, a day we had circled a month in advance for severe weather and blackouts, both of which came. And we knew that from understanding who runs the world and how they put out their predictive programming. It was synced up with Klaus Schwab, the Jesuit, his great resets. You had J.J. Watt down in Houston, Watt Energy, who wanted out of town the week of the blackout. Then he goes to the solar capital, Phoenix. In the Jesuit-controlled NFL, it's all symbolism. It's all mockery. These guys are all Manchurians, born and bred to be. And, here, I'll show you a good one with if you haven't read my first book, Letters and Numbers, I have a whole chapter on the Kennedy curse, and then I have a whole chapter on the JFK assassination. It's a big book. There's a lot of information in there. But I always forget how to spell the incident with Ted Kennedy, where the woman drowned. It's like pick something incident with a P. Let me see if I can look this up again. It's in my book. I just can't remember the word. I'm just going to write something. I know it's not that, but I'm going to see if it pulls it up. Or I guess it's not P. It's the Chappaquiddick incident. Okay, that's what it was. I don't know why I thought it was a P. But do you see something in that? Do you see something in that Kennedy mystery? That tragic death, one of the many, Kennedy curse incidents. Do you see the 201 right in there? You learn their little number code, you start to understand what's really going on. And there's a whole lot more to that. When I wrote my first book, I wasn't onto the 201 thing as much. So I'll make amends in this late. Well, I mean, my second book, I go after 201 in a big way. But the next book, no one's going to forget 201. So. And if you guys are new here, just coming back to something I said in the very beginning. Again, everybody's got to know this one right here. Like we talked about, Robert Francis Kennedy, 314, like pi is 3.14. In Greek, pi is the 16th letter. This is going to be the 16th parole hearing for Sirhan Sirhan. Remember, they're Catholic, which means essentially they're a sect of Christianity. Christianity was a religion created by the Greeks with the New Testament written in Greek, and the Greeks practiced the code of letters and numbers. That's why even in the Wikipedia thing, it says that in the numerical system for Greek, pi is the 80th letter. Remember, Bavarian Illuminati equals 80 in the most pure cipher, created by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, who died 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment, and who also renamed it Order of Illuminati, which equals 201. But, again, Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, it means geometry in language. Geometry in language, and in geometry class, you learned a lot about pi. And the mathematical shorthand to get to pi is to divide 22 by 7. If you divide 22 by 7, you get the mathematical shorthand for pi, 3.14. If you write out 22 divided by 7, in English, it equals 314. Use pi for the calculation of a circle, which is made up of 360 degrees. If you write up 360, it's 227, right? 227. And Again, 22 divided by 7 is pi. English is based in gematria like Greek is, like Hebrew is. It's the best kept secret about the language that's spoken worldwide. And when you learn that this is the case, it's undeniable. It's amazing how many people deny it because they weren't taught about it in slave school, and they think since they didn't learn about it in slave school, it must not be real. Because the only things that are real to the program masses is what they learned in slave school, or what comes from the television, the idiot box, or the lying liars in government who are a Jesuit criminal mafia. You know, they say Lincoln died at 7:22 in the morning. Lincoln and RFK's assassinations are similar because they were shot at night and they died the next morning. And as I say that out loud, I can't remember what time RFK died at. RFK time of death. Oh, yeah. Maybe I did remember and I just wanted to show you. Do you see what time they say he died at? 1:44 a.m., you know? He died at 1:44 a.m., you guys. So what time he died at? 1:44, right? It's the 104th minute of the day. There's something about 104, too, with the Catholics. Roman Catholic Church 104. 10-4, over and out. So, you know, brother dead 144 days from his meeting with the Pope. He's dead at 1:44 a.m. And do you think these people really died? They might have. But, again, politics is theater. And the Kennedy family stayed in politics. And, you know, I haven't seen any of them in the time. Several of them have had a chance to share this knowledge. I have trouble believing that they wouldn't want to share this knowledge. Unless they already knew everything I'm already sharing. And, you know, they know their family members are alive and well somewhere else. Just out of the world stage. Not on the TV. Not in suits being politicians anymore. They serve their part. They serve their purpose. And again, my whole take on the 60s with all the assassinations was it taught us to be a nation of cowards. You know, my dad's a good guy, but he was a child in the 60s. He was born in 1953. So, you know, he's 10 years old. He's about 10 and a half years old when JFK was assassinated. You know, 15 years old when RFK and MLK are assassinated. But my dad, he'd always say, you know, you speak out. I mean, you might get your head knocked off. I mean, you look at what happened to the politicians in the past. That's what a whole generation learned. If you speak up, you might get your head blown off. So, yeah, and again, that's no way to be. That's no way to be. I think my dad's realizing that now. So, you know, people don't speak up against tyranny. That's what happens. You end up living with tyranny. You end up having to comply with tyranny. Well, you don't. You always have the choice not to, but if you don't, it becomes very difficult. You might find that you have no way to work, no way to feed yourself. So, like Revelation 13:18, the mark, or you can't be a part of this economy. And, you know, speaking of the mark of the beast, you know, 144.54, just like Jesuit order 144.54, and we know who's doing this beast-like agenda. Again, they simulated the pandemic we're living out with Clade X, May 15, 2018, exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared. You use that times 6 cipher. Vaccination and mandatory are both 666. You got Bill Gates doing all of his number of the beast rituals with the vaccine, as we've been documenting, as I wrote a book about, as a million more things have happened since it came out. Vaccination mandatory, you know. Computers make all this possible. Bill Gates goes from computers to vaccines. You know, William Henry Gates, 201, one of the main sponsors of Event 201, just got out of his arranged marriage with the Jesuit witch, born on the same day the Jesuits were, August 15th. From a Jesuit family, building Jesuit high schools all over the nation. I'm going to do another video later today. You know how we've been talking about all the parallels between Jimmy Carter, the Democrat from Georgia, and why Georgia went for Biden on Jimmy Carter's 44th day of his age when Georgia's 44, and it reminds of the Iranian hostage crisis, which ended on 20/1201 with the Jesuit Catholic puppet Reagan as, Jimmy Carter was going out of office. But remember, Jimmy Carter was weak on defense, and he made the Middle East less secure. These are what like conservatives will say, right? So now you have Joe Biden, who's been having all these parallels to Jimmy Carter, the last Democrat to win Georgia. And now, he's making all these blunders in Afghanistan, the 46, Catholic named nation after the world wars. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to do another video on this with Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden and just how all these guys are all members of the club. And, that reminds me, too, the whole Kabul thing just happened on a 39 date numerology, and Jimmy Carter was number 39. The 444-day Iranian hostage crisis that, Ronald Reagan as the Hollywood actor comes into the Oval. Oh, he was also the 33rd governor of New York, because we know it takes a great mind to be the governor. Or did I say New York? I mean California. Reagan was the 33rd governor of California. And again, any moron can be the governor of California. Arnold Schwarzenegger did it. Case closed. Just goes to show these politicians are nothing but puppets. They're not the people who run the states. They're not the people who run the nations. They're just the actors they put out there for the storyline. So, you think Senile Joe's really running anything? I mean, come on. I just see the chat real quick before I sign off. For the person who says it's too late, it's not too late. If we were dead and in the ground, it would be too late. It is late in the game and things don't look good. I mean, that's true, but it's not too late, It's not too late until we're dead and in the ground. That's when it's too late. So, anyway,